The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched beyond what human eyes could easily see. Massive pillars made of crystal from a dozen worlds held up a ceiling that showed the stars themselves. Representatives from 43 different alien species sat in curved rows, each delegation more impressive than the last. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked slowly toward the center podium. Her simple black uniform looked plain next to the flowing robes of the Etherians, or the gleaming armor of the Zephyrian delegates. She carried a small datapad in her hands. On it was Earth's formal request to join the Galactic Council as a full member. The hall buzzed with alien voices speaking in languages that sounded like music, grinding metal, or rushing water. Sarah had spent 3 years learning to understand most of them. Today she wished she had not. "The human representative may speak," announced High Counselor Morthak. The ancient being's voice echoed through the hall like distant thunder. His species had been exploring space when humans were still living in caves. Sarah stepped up to the podium. The device automatically adjusted to her height and translated her words into 43 languages at once. She took a deep breath. "Honored council members, I come before you today representing the people of Earth. We formally request full membership in this great alliance of worlds. Humanity has much to offer and much to learn from our galactic neighbors." Before she could continue, a harsh laugh cut through the air. Ambassador Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire stood up. His tall, blue-skinned form towered over his seat. His forearms gestured dismissively. "Honored council, surely this is a joke," Vextar said. His voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. "These humans have barely learned to leave their own star system. Their technology is primitive. Their ships are slow and weak." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Sarah felt her cheeks burn with shame, but she kept her face calm. "The Zephyrian delegate speaks truth," added crystalline speaker Lyra of the Etherian Collective. Her body was made of living crystal that caught and bent light in beautiful patterns. Humans are children playing with dangerous toys. They spread to other worlds without understanding the consequences. "Their fastest ships take months to travel between stars," called out another voice from the mechanoid assembly. "Our courier vessels move faster than their warships." Sarah waited for the laughter to die down. She had expected this. Earth's visible fleet was indeed small and seemingly outdated compared to alien technology. 12 ships in total, all using basic fusion drives and simple kinetic weapons. "The human colonies show no proper planning," continued Vextar, now clearly enjoying himself. "They build on worlds without asking permission from the Council. They mine asteroids that could belong to established species. They act like barbarians." More agreement from the assembled delegates. The insectoid representative of the Hive Collective made a series of clicks that the translator rendered as derisive laughter. Sarah finally spoke again. "The people of Earth acknowledge we have much to learn. We seek membership not as equals but as students. We wish to contribute what we can while growing under your guidance." "And what exactly can humans contribute?" asked Vextar, his tone mocking. "Your mathematics are simple. Your science is basic. Your military could not defend against a single Council patrol ship. We offer determination, creativity, and a fresh perspective," Sarah replied. "Humanity has overcome many challenges on our homeworld. We have learned to work together despite our differences." "Determination?" Vextar laughed again. "Speaker Lyra, remind the Council how many humans died in their first attempt to reach another star." The Etherian's crystal form flickered with what might have been amusement. "The human colony ship Endeavor lost life support during its journey to Proxima Centauri. 300 souls perished because they could not properly maintain their own technology. And yet they kept trying," Sarah said quietly. "And now we have 17 colonies across 8 star systems. 17 tiny outposts that exist only because no one else wanted those barren rocks," scoffed another delegate. Sarah looked around the hall. Every face, whether covered in scales, fur, crystal, or metal, showed the same expression: dismissive superiority. These beings saw humans as barely evolved animals pretending to be civilized. "Perhaps," suggested Vextar with false kindness, "humanity would be better served as a client species under Zephyrian protection. We could guide your development, teach you proper ways of doing things. You would not need to worry about making dangerous mistakes." The suggestion drew approving sounds from many delegates. To become a client species meant giving up independence. It meant accepting that another race would make all important decisions for humanity. "The Earth government has instructed me to seek only full membership or observer status. Sarah replied carefully. Observer status it is then, declared High Counselor Morthak. All in favor of granting humanity observer status only? Every delegation raised their voting symbols. The count was unanimous. 43 in favor, 0 against. The motion passes, Morthak announced. Humanity will remain at observer status. You may attend council meetings but may not vote on any decisions. This status will be reviewed in 50 years. 50 years. Sarah knew that many of the aliens in this room would still be alive and in power 5 decades from now. For them, it was a short time. For humanity, it was 2 generations. As the council moved on to other business, Sarah gathered her papers and walked back toward the exit. Behind her, she could hear Vexitar speaking to other delegates about teaching these upstart humans their proper place in the galaxy. Outside the Great Hall, Sarah activated her secure communicator. The signal would take several hours to reach Earth, even through the quantum relay network. Admiral Reeves, this is Ambassador Chen. The Council has denied our membership application. Vote was unanimous against us. They view our technology as primitive and our expansion as reckless. Several delegates suggested we become a client species under alien oversight. She paused, looking back at the massive building where 43 species had just agreed that humanity was not worthy to stand among them. Sir, they have no idea what they're dealing with. The Zephyrians seem particularly interested in putting us in our place. Vextar suggested their empire could provide guidance and protection. I believe they're planning something. 17 hours later, in a secure bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Marcus Reeves received Sarah's message. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Around him, displays showed the positions of human ships throughout known space. 12 ships appeared on the main screen. They were the ones the aliens knew about, the ones they dismissed as primitive and weak. Reeves smiled grimly as he thought about what else the displays could show if he wanted them to. He turned to his aide, Commander Jackson. Send a message to all Shadow Fleet commanders. Tell them to remain at condition yellow. Our friends on the council may be planning to teach us some manners. Yes, sir. Should we begin moving assets into position? Not yet, Reeves replied. Let's see how far they're willing to push this. But make sure all ships are ready for immediate deployment. As Jackson hurried away to send the orders, Reeves looked again at the display showing humanity's fleet of 12 ships. The aliens were right about one thing. Those ships were primitive and weak. What they did not know was that those 12 vessels were just the ones humanity wanted them to see. In the depths of space, far from any star or planet, hundreds of other ships waited in perfect silence. Ships that used technology the Galactic Council could not even imagine. Ships that had been built in secret while the aliens laughed at human primitiveness. Admiral Reeves had been waiting 30 years for this moment. Soon, he thought, the galaxy would learn what humanity was really capable of. 6 months had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Council. Life continued in the human colonies, but everyone knew something was coming. The insults from alien species had grown worse. Trade agreements were canceled. Human merchant ships found themselves turned away from neutral ports. Admiral Zexathera of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. Through the massive viewing screen, he could see the human colony of New Terra spinning slowly below. The planet was home to 2 million humans who had spent 15 years turning a dead rock into a thriving world. Pathetic, he muttered to his second-in-command. Look at their orbital defenses. 3 small stations and a handful of patrol boats. My youngest nephew could conquer this place with a training squadron. The other target systems are equally weak, Admiral, reported Commander Veltar. Haven's Rest has even fewer defenses. Prosperity Station is just a mining operation with some armed freighters. Zexathara nodded with satisfaction. His 3 battle fleets were positioned at the human colonies that mattered most. Each fleet contained 50 warships, including massive dreadnoughts that could destroy cities from orbit. The humans had nothing that could even threaten his smallest escort vessel. Open a communication channel to all 3 colonies, he ordered. Let's see how brave these humans are when facing real power. The channel opened, broadcasting Zexathara's image to every screen in the 3 star systems. He was an impressive sight, nearly 8 feet tall with blue skin marked by ritual scars that showed his noble rank. His 4 arms were crossed in a gesture that meant dominance in Zephyrian culture. Attention, human colonists, he began, his voice carrying the authority of someone born to rule. I am Admiral Zexathara of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. By order of the Empire, you will immediately surrender control of your colonies to Zephyrian administration. On New Terra, Governor Maria Santos watched the broadcast from her office. Around her, aides and military officers stood in stunned silence. Everyone had known this day might come, but seeing 50 alien warships hanging in space above their homes made it real. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships, Zexthara continued. Your orbital stations are toys compared to our dreadnoughts. Resistance is not only futile, it is foolish. You will surrender the following items immediately. The list that appeared on every screen was devastating. The Zephyrians wanted all advanced technology, all rare metals, all research data, and worst of all, they wanted 10% of each colony's population to serve as workers in Zephyrian space. You have 72 hours to comply, Zexthara announced. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why the Galactic Council voted to keep you as observer species only. Your choice is simple: surrender with dignity, or be conquered with force. The transmission ended, leaving 3 star systems in shocked silence. Governor Santos was the first to recover. She activated her emergency communicator and called Earth directly. The quantum relay would carry her message across dozens of light years in just a few hours. Earth Command, this is Governor Santos of New Terra. The Zephyrians have issued an ultimatum. They demand surrender of our colonies within 72 hours. We need immediate assistance. Our local defenses cannot stop 50 dreadnoughts. Similar messages came from the other threatened colonies. Haven's Rest reported 48 Zephyrian ships in their system. Prosperity Station faced a smaller force of 30 vessels, but their mining operation had no military defenses at all. On Earth, the messages reached Admiral Reeves in his underground command center. He read each report carefully, his expression growing darker with every line. Around him, his staff waited for orders. Sir, the Prometheus and the Victory are our closest ships to the threatened systems, reported Commander Jackson. But they're both older patrol vessels. Even together, they couldn't fight one Zephyrian dreadnought. Reeves looked at the tactical display showing the locations of all known human ships. 12 dots marked the vessels that formed humanity's official fleet. They were scattered across 8 star systems, maintaining the illusion that Earth was trying to protect its colonies with inadequate forces. What about civilian evacuation? Asked Colonel Martinez from the Marine Corps. We could get transport ships to all 3 colonies within 40 hours. And go where? Reeves replied quietly. If we run from the Zephyrians now, every alien species in the galaxy will know they can push us around. They'll take our colonies one by one until we're trapped in the solar system. Sir, I hate to say it, but maybe we should consider negotiating, suggested Commander Jackson. The Zephyrians want our advanced technology, but we could claim we don't have any. Our public technology really is primitive compared to theirs. Reeves was quiet for a long moment. His staff had no idea what humanity was really capable of. They knew about the Shadow Fleet, but they thought it was just a few experimental ships hidden in case of emergency. None of them knew the true size of what humanity had built in secret. No negotiation, he said finally. Contact Ambassador Chen on Nexus Prime. Tell her to offer talks, but make sure the Zephyrians know we won't be giving up our colonies. As his staff hurried to carry out the orders, Reeves walked to a secure terminal in the corner of the room. He entered his personal access codes and called up a file that only 5 people on Earth were authorized to see. The file was labeled simply Shadowfall. Reeves opened the communication system and entered a code that would reach every Shadow Fleet commander simultaneously. The message would travel through quantum relays hidden in asteroid fields and abandoned mining stations, invisible to alien detection systems. The code for message priority was simple, immediate. The message itself was even simpler. Condition read, prepare for Shadowfall authorization. Stand by for deployment orders. Across the galaxy and the deep spaces between stars, ship commanders who had been waiting decades for this moment received their orders. In hidden bases built inside hollowed-out asteroids, maintenance crews began final preparations. In secret shipyards that officially did not exist, the last few vessels of humanity's real fleet received their final systems checks. The aliens thought they knew everything about human military capability. They had counted the ships, measured their weapons, analyzed their technology. They had no idea that every scan they had ever performed had shown them exactly what humanity wanted them to see. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Chen received Admiral Reeves's message and immediately requested an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council. She knew it was hopeless. No one would support humanity against the Zephyrian Empire, but the attempt had to be made. The meeting lasted 30 minutes. 42 species voted that the matter was an internal dispute between sovereign entities. Only the Altarian Republic voted to support humanity, and they were too far away to provide meaningful help. Chen sent another message to Earth. No support from the Council. We're on our own. Back in his command center, Admiral Reeves received the expected news. He looked at the countdown timer showing 64 hours until the Zephyrian deadline. Around him, his staff worked frantically to coordinate what they thought was a hopeless defense. With 12 ships, Reeves picked up his secure communicator and spoke a single word that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Shadowfall. In the depths of space, hundreds of ships that had been hidden for 3 decades began moving toward the threatened human colonies. Ships that used technology the Galactic Council had never seen. Ships crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. The Zephyrians had 64 hours to enjoy their feeling of superiority. After that, they would learn what humanity had really been doing while the galaxy laughed at their primitive technology. Admiral Zexathara stood on his bridge, watching the countdown timer reach its final minutes. 71 hours and 58 minutes had passed since his ultimatum. The humans had sent several desperate messages begging for more time, but he had ignored them all. In 2 minutes, he would begin the bombardment of New Terra. All ships report ready for orbital strike, announced his weapons officer. Target list includes all major cities, spaceports, and industrial facilities. Excellent, Zexthera replied. These humans need to learn their place in the galaxy. Begin the attack in 60 seconds. Around the 3 human colonies, the Zephyrian fleets prepared for what they expected to be a quick and decisive victory. Their ships had been fighting battles for thousands of years. Their weapons could turn planets into lifeless rocks. Their crews were professional soldiers who had conquered dozens of worlds. The humans had 12 ships scattered across known space, none of which were even in the threatened systems. On New Terra, Governor Santos stood in her command center surrounded by her staff. Every face showed the same expression, determination mixed with hopeless despair. They would fight with everything they had, but everyone knew it would not be enough. Planetary defense stations report ready, said Colonel Park, the senior military officer. All civilian shelters are sealed. Emergency broadcasts are telling everyone to stay underground. Santos nodded grimly. The 3 orbital defense platforms had weapons that could maybe damage a Zephyrian escort vessel, but they faced 50 dreadnoughts. It would be like throwing rocks at a tank. Signal from the Zephyrian flagship, reported the communications officer. Admiral Zexathara is demanding our immediate surrender. Tell him humanity does not surrender, Santos replied. Above the planet, Zexathara received the human response and laughed. Brave words from a dead woman. All ships commence bombardment. Show these primitives what real power looks like. The timer reached 0. 50 Zephyrian dreadnoughts turned their massive guns toward the human colony below. At exactly 23:59 Galactic Standard Time, space itself seemed to change. The first sign was a shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But this was happening in the vacuum of space where such things were impossible. The shimmer spread across the entire star system, visible to every sensor and every eye. Then the stars began to move, except they were not stars. They were ships, massive human warships that had been hiding behind perfect stealth technology, invisible to every alien sensor system. As their cloaking fields dropped, they appeared throughout the New Terra system like ghosts becoming solid. Admiral Zexathara stared at his tactical display in complete disbelief. The screen showed over 100 new contacts, all registering as human vessels. But that was impossible. Humans only had 12 ships in their entire fleet. What is this? He whispered. His sensor officer was frantically checking his equipment. Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures from all the new contacts. Their power output is, sir, it's beyond our measurement scale. That cannot be correct. Run a full diagnostic on all sensors. Sir, diagnostics show all systems functioning normally. The human ships are real. On New Terra, Governor Santos watched her tactical display with amazement. Where seconds before she had seen only Zephyrian ships, the screen now showed 100 friendly contacts. Human ships that dwarfed even the largest Zephyrian dreadnought. How is this possible? Whispered Colonel Park. Before anyone could answer, a new voice filled the communication channel. It was calm, professional, and completely confident. Admiral Zex Thera. This is Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Human Shadow Fleet. You are ordered to withdraw from human space immediately. On his bridge, Zex Thera looked at the communication display showing a human woman in a uniform he had never seen before. She appeared to be about 40 years old, with short dark hair and eyes that showed no fear whatsoever. This is some trick, he said. Humans do not have ships like this. Your technology is primitive. You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawal, Admiral Vasquez replied calmly. This is your only warning. Zex Thera's pride flared. He was a noble of the Zephyrian Empire, descendant of warriors who had conquered half the galaxy. He would not be threatened by primitive humans no matter what illusions they had created. I do not know how you are projecting these false images, but you cannot fool Zephyrian sensors forever. All ships ignore the human tricks and commence bombardment. Very well, said Admiral Vasquez. Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful. On the tactical display, one of the human ships began moving toward a large asteroid at the edge of the system. The vessel was identified as the HSS Nemesis, and its size readings made it larger than Zexathera's flagship. All ships, target that human vessel, Zexathera ordered. Destroy this illusion and proceed with the mission. 20 Zephyrian ships fired at once. Plasma beams that could melt through the strongest armor struck the human vessel directly. The energy release was visible across the entire system, bright enough to temporarily blind unprotected sensors. When the light faded, the human ship was completely undamaged. Impossible, breathed Zexathera's weapons officer. Our plasma cannons cannot miss at this range. We scored direct hits. The human ship appears to have some kind of defensive field, reported the sensor officer. Our weapons did not even reach their hull. Admiral Vasquez's voice came over the communication channel again, still perfectly calm. Now for our demonstration. The HSS Nemesis fired a single weapon at the asteroid. The beam that emerged from the human ship was unlike anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. It was not plasma or lasers or any other energy weapon the aliens recognized. The asteroid did not explode. It did not melt or crack or break apart. Instead, it simply vanished. One moment there was a rock the size of a small moon, and the next moment there was nothing but empty space and a brief flash of pure energy. Graviton lance, Admiral Vasquez explained casually. It converts matter directly into energy, very useful for mining operations. Throughout the 3 human systems, identical scenes were playing out. At Haven's Rest, 48 Zephyrian ships faced 60 human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. At Prosperity Station, 30 alien warships found themselves surrounded by 40 human ships of impossible design. The Shadow Fleet had revealed itself, and the balance of power in the galaxy had changed in an instant. Admiral Zexathera looked at his tactical display, trying to understand what he was seeing. The human ships used technology that should not exist. Their energy readings were impossible. Their size and number made no sense. Sir, what are your orders? Asked his second-in-command. Zexathera had spent his entire life studying military tactics and alien technology. He had conquered 17 worlds for the Zephyrian Empire. He had never faced an enemy he could not understand. The humans had just demonstrated a weapon that could destroy his flagship without leaving debris. They had shields that made Zephyrian plasma cannons useless. They had somehow hidden over 100 warships for years without any alien intelligence service detecting them. All ships, he said slowly, cease fire. Take defensive positions. Admiral Vasquez's image appeared on his screen again. A wise decision, Admiral. You now have 30 minutes to begin withdrawal from all 3 systems. Any Zephyrian ship that remains after the deadline will be disabled and boarded. This is not over, human, Zexathera said, trying to maintain some dignity. The Empire will not accept this humiliation. The Empire will accept whatever humanity decides to give them, Vasquez replied. You attacked our colonies. You threatened our people. The only reason your ships are still intact is because we prefer to avoid unnecessary casualties. She paused, and for the first time, her expression showed something other than professional calm. It showed the cold anger of someone who had been pushed too far. But if you want to continue this fight, Admiral, we are ready to accommodate you. The choice is yours. Admiral Zexathera's pride burned like fire in his chest. No human had ever spoken to a Zephyrian noble with such disrespect. No primitive species had ever made demands of the Empire. The fact that these impossible human ships existed did not change thousands of years of Zephyrian superiority. Communications officer, send an immediate message to Imperial Command, he ordered. Request the 7th Fleet for emergency deployment. Tell them we face an unknown human weapon system that requires maximum force response. His bridge crew exchanged worried glances. The 7th Fleet was the Empire's most powerful military formation. 150 of their finest warships, including the massive battle fortress Eternal Victory. Sir, are you certain? Asked Commander Veltar quietly. Perhaps we should report back first, analyze what we have seen. I am certain, Zexthara replied coldly. These humans may have some new technology, but they are still primitives. 50 ships could not defeat us only because we were surprised. 150 ships will crush them regardless of their tricks. On the tactical display, the human vessels maintained their positions around the 3 colony systems. They made no aggressive moves, but their presence was a constant reminder of the humiliation Zexthara had suffered. His ancestors had conquered entire star systems. He would not be the first of his line to retreat from barbarians. The quantum message reached Zephyrian Command within 4 hours. Admiral Torvak, commander of the 7th Fleet, read the report with growing disbelief. Humans with advanced technology? Ships that could destroy asteroids with single shots? It sounded like the fantasies of a defeated commander trying to explain his failure. But Zexthara was no coward, and his service record was impressive. If he said the humans had surprised him with new weapons, then something significant had happened in the colonial systems. Prepare the 7th Fleet for immediate deployment, Torvak ordered his staff. Full battle formation. We will settle this human problem once and for all. The largest military force in Zephyrian history began moving toward human space. 150 warships, including 30 dreadnoughts and the battle fortress that served as Torvak's flagship. The Eternal Victory was 3 miles long and carried enough firepower to sterilize a planet. Meanwhile, Admiral Vasquez aboard the HSS Nemesis watched her sensors track the approaching Zephyrian reinforcements. The Shadow Fleet's intelligence network had detected the 7th Fleet's movement within minutes of their departure. Admiral, the Zephyrian 7th Fleet will arrive in 18 hours, reported her tactical officer. 150 ships, including their largest battle fortress. Vasquez nodded calmly. She had been expecting this response. The Zephyrians were too proud to accept defeat, especially from a species they considered primitive. That pride would be their downfall. Signal all Shadow Fleet commanders. Prepare for full engagement. This time we do not hold back. Yes, ma'am. Should we call for additional ships from the reserve fleets? Vasquez looked at her tactical display showing the forces available in the 3 human systems. 120 Shadow Fleet vessels against 150 Zephyrian warships. The aliens had numerical superiority, but numbers were not everything. Negative. What we have here will be sufficient. Across human space, the news of the Shadow Fleet's revelation had reached every colony and outpost. On Earth, Admiral Reeves watched the reports with satisfaction. 30 years of preparation were finally paying off. Sir, should we inform the Galactic Council about the engagement? Asked Commander Jackson. Not yet, Reeves replied. Let the Zephyrians commit their full strength first. I want every alien species to see exactly what happens when they threaten humanity. The Zephyrian 7th Fleet arrived in the new Terra system in perfect battle formation. Admiral Torvak stood on the bridge of the Eternal Victory, studying the tactical display that showed his forces facing the mysterious human ships. The human vessels were indeed larger than his intelligence reports had suggested. Their energy signatures were unlike anything in Zephyrian databases. But they were still outnumbered, and the Eternal Victory alone carried more firepower than half their fleet. Admiral Zexthara, this is Admiral Torvak. I am assuming command of this operation. Report your status. Zexthara's image appeared on the communication screen. The younger admiral looked relieved to see reinforcements, but his expression was still troubled. Sir, the humans have technology we do not understand. Their ships appear to have perfect defensive screens. Their weapons converted a Class 7 asteroid to pure energy. Noted, Torvak replied. But they face the full might of the 7th Fleet now. Primitive technology cannot stand against Zephyrian naval doctrine. On the HSS Nemesis, Admiral Vasquez received a communication request from the Zephyrian flagship. She accepted the call, curious to see what the new alien commander would say. Admiral Torvak appeared on her screen, an older Zephyrian with elaborate ceremonial scars marking his face and arms. His expression showed the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. Human Commander, I am Admiral Torvak of the Imperial 7th Fleet. You will surrender immediately and submit to Zephyrian authority. This is your final opportunity to avoid complete destruction. Admiral Torvak? Vasquez replied politely. I am Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Human Shadow Fleet. I must respectfully decline your offer. However, I will extend the same courtesy to you. Withdraw from human space now, and no Zephyrian lives will be lost today. Torvak laughed, a harsh sound that his species used to show dominance. You face the most powerful fleet in Zephyrian history. Your 40 ships cannot stand against our 150. Surrender now or be destroyed. Actually, Admiral, you face 120 ships, not 40. And I'm afraid our previous demonstration was not entirely accurate. We were being quite gentle with your forces. Impossible. Our sensors show only the ships we can see. Vasquez smiled. Admiral, your sensors show exactly what we want them to show. Allow me to demonstrate. Throughout the new Terra system, space began to shimmer again. More human ships appeared, decloaking in perfect formation around the Zephyrian fleet. Not dozens this time, but hundreds. The tactical display showed over 300 human vessels, completely surrounding the enemy formation. This is still an illusion, Torvak said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. Humans do not have this many ships. Begin the engagement, Admiral Vasquez ordered her fleet. The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries. The Zephyrians opened fire with everything they had: plasma cannons, torpedo launchers, particle beams, and exotic weapons that could crack the cores of planets. Every shot simply passed through the human shields without effect. The human response was devastating in its precision. Rather than destroying the Zephyrian ships, they disabled them. Graviton lances surgically removed weapon systems. Quantum disruptors shut down engines. Electromagnetic pulses crippled computer systems. Within 30 minutes, half the Zephyrian 7th Fleet was drifting helplessly in space. How is this possible? Torvak demanded as his own ship shuddered under weapons fire that somehow passed through every defense. No technology can do this. Admiral Vasquez's voice filled the communication channel, broadcasting to every ship in both fleets. For the education of our Zephyrian guests, I will explain what you are witnessing. Her tone was that of a teacher instructing students, calm and patient. Our defensive systems use controlled gravitational fields to bend space around our ships. Your weapons fire follows curved spacetime, missing our hulls entirely. Our graviton lances manipulate matter at the quantum level, converting it to energy with perfect efficiency. Our stealth technology phases our ships slightly out of normal space, making us invisible to your sensors. She paused as another Zephyrian dreadnought lost power and began to drift. Most importantly, we have been studying your technology for 30 years. We know exactly how your ships work, where their weaknesses are, and how to exploit them. You, on the other hand, are encountering our technology for the first time. The one-sided battle continued for another hour. The legendary Zephyrian 7th Fleet, terror of a dozen star systems, was systematically dismantled by human forces that seemed to toy with them. Finally, only Admiral Torvak's flagship remained functional. The Eternal Victory, pride of the Zephyrian Navy, hung alone in space surrounded by dozens of human warships. This ends now, Admiral Vasquez announced. Admiral Torvak, prepare to be boarded. You and your crew will be treated according to the laws of war, but your ship is now property of the Human Shadow Fleet. Human Marines in advanced power armor began cutting through the Eternal Victory's hull. Their equipment made them nearly invincible, and Zephyrian security forces found their weapons useless against human shields. Within an hour, Admiral Torvak stood in his own bridge as a prisoner of war, watching human technicians study his ship's systems with professional interest. The battle was over. The Zephyrian Empire's most powerful fleet had been defeated without the loss of a single human ship. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened just 48 hours after the Battle of New Terra. News of the Zephyrian 7th Fleet's defeat had spread across the galaxy, faster than anyone thought possible. Every species with access to quantum communication networks had received detailed recordings of the engagement. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the Great Hall for the second time in less than a year. This time she was not alone. Admiral Marcus Reeves accompanied her, wearing the dress uniform of the human Shadow Fleet. His presence changed everything about the atmosphere in the hall. The same delegates who had laughed at humanity 6 months ago now sat in stunned silence. Many kept glancing at the tactical displays showing the current positions of known human ships. The number had changed dramatically. What had once shown 12 vessels now displayed over 800 contacts throughout human space and beyond. High Counselor Morthak called the session to order, his ancient voice carrying a tremor that had not been there before. The Council recognizes Ambassador Chen of the human colonial government. Chen stepped to the podium, but this time she carried herself differently. Her back was straight, her head high, and her voice carried the confidence of someone backed by overwhelming force. Honored Council members, I return to present humanity's revised application for membership in this galactic alliance. She placed a datapad on the podium, but everyone in the hall knew the real message was standing beside her. Admiral Reeves represented military power that had just humiliated the greatest fleet in Zephyrian history. Before we proceed, Chen continued, the human government wishes to address certain recent events. 6 months ago, several council members suggested that humanity was primitive and unsuited for galactic civilization. Some even recommended that we become a client species under alien supervision. Nervous rustling filled the hall. Ambassador Vextar, who had been so confident during the previous meeting, now sat quietly in his delegation's seats. His empire's fleet was currently in human custody, and his government was frantically trying to negotiate their release. Recent events have demonstrated that the Council's assessment of human capabilities was incomplete, Chen said diplomatically. Admiral Reeves will now provide a brief explanation of humanity's actual technological status. Reeves stepped forward to the podium. His weathered face showed no emotion as he looked out at the assembled alien delegates. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded respect across star systems. Members of the Galactic Council, for the past 30 years, humanity has been conducting the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history. While you saw 12 ships, we were building 800. While you analyzed our primitive technology, we were developing systems beyond your understanding. He activated the podium's display system, showing images that made several delegates gasp in shock. Massive shipyards hidden inside hollowed asteroids, weapons testing ranges in deep space, research facilities that dwarfed anything in known space. Every alien vessel that entered human space was scanned and analyzed. Every technology sample you shared was improved upon. Every weakness in your designs was cataloged and exploited. You thought you were observing primitive humans fumbling with basic fusion drives. In reality, you were providing intelligence to an enemy you never knew existed. The silence in the hall was absolute. Even the translator system seemed quieter, as if the machines themselves were shocked by the revelation. The ships you saw attacking human colonies were not our military fleet, Reeves continued. They were our patrol vessels, outdated designs we maintained for exactly this purpose, to let you underestimate us while we prepared for the day you would try to conquer us. He looked directly at the Zephyrian delegation as he spoke his next words. That day came sooner than expected, but we were ready. Ambassador Vextar finally found his voice. Admiral, surely this was unnecessary. The Empire meant no permanent harm to human colonies. This was simply a demonstration of proper galactic hierarchy. Reeves turned his cold gaze on the Zephyrian delegate. Ambassador, your admiral demanded the surrender of 3 human worlds and 10% of their populations as slaves. Your fleet was preparing to bombard civilian cities when we intervened. I would hardly call that a peaceful demonstration. The humans could have negotiated, protested another voice from the assembly. Violence was not necessary. You are correct, Chen interjected smoothly. Violence was not necessary, which is why we offered Admiral Zexathara the opportunity to withdraw peacefully. He chose to escalate the situation by calling in reinforcements. She activated her own display, showing the tactical recordings of both battles. Every delegate could see how the humans had offered multiple chances for surrender before beginning their attacks. The human government prefers diplomatic solutions, Chen continued. However, we will not tolerate attempts to enslave our people or conquer our worlds. We hope this message is clear to all council members. High Counselor Morthak leaned forward in his ancient seat. Ambassador Chen, what does humanity seek from this council now? Surely your superior military capability means you have no need for our approval or cooperation. Chen smiled, and for the first time since entering the hall, she looked genuinely pleased. Counselor, humanity seeks exactly what we requested 6 months ago. Full membership in this galactic alliance. We wish to contribute to galactic civilization, to share our knowledge and learn from yours. We want to be partners, not conquerors. And if the council refuses again, ask Speaker Lyra of the Etherian Collective. Admiral Reeves answered that question. The council is free to make whatever decision it chooses. However, humanity will no longer pretend to be weak and primitive. Our colonies will expand where we decide they should expand. Our ships will travel where we decide they need to go. We would prefer to do this as council members, but we will do it regardless. The threat was polite but unmistakable. Humanity was offering partnership, but they were no longer asking permission. High Counselor Morthak called for a brief recess to allow the delegations to confer. Chen and Reeves withdrew to a waiting area, while 43 alien species tried to process the complete reversal of galactic power structures. The debate was brief but intense. The Zephyrian delegation argued for continued resistance, but their words carried little weight with their fleet in human custody. The Etherian Collective suggested demanding limits on human expansion, but no one wanted to test humanity's response to such demands. In the end, pragmatism won over pride. When the session reconvened, High Counselor Morthak announced the result. By a vote of 41 in favor, 0 against, and 2 abstentions, the Galactic Council grants full membership to the human colonial government. Ambassador Chen, welcome to the council. The applause was respectful but subdued. Everyone understood that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently. Chen returned to the podium one final time. The human government thanks the council for this decision. We look forward to many years of productive cooperation and mutual benefit. She paused, looking out at the delegates who had dismissed humanity as primitive just months before. We also want to assure all council members that humanity remembers its friends. Several species expressed sympathy for our position during previous meetings, and we will not forget that kindness. Likewise, we remember those who suggested we should become client species or submit to alien oversight. The message was clear. Humanity would reward those who had treated them fairly and would be less generous with those who had not. As the session ended and delegates began filing out of the hall, Admiral Reeves activated his secure communicator one final time. Shadow Fleet Command, this is Admiral Reeves. Mission accomplished. Humanity has taken its place among the galactic powers. The response came immediately from the hidden command centers throughout human space. Understood, Admiral. Shadowfall Protocol remains active. Welcome to the new galaxy. In the depths of space, thousands of human ships continued their patient vigil. The Shadow Fleet had revealed itself to the galaxy, but much of humanity's true strength remained hidden. The aliens had learned to respect human power, but they had no idea how deep that power truly ran. Ambassador Chen and Admiral Reeves left the council hall together, walking past delegates who now looked at them with a mixture of respect and fear. 6 months ago, humanity had been dismissed as primitive barbarians. Today, they were the newest superpower in galactic civilization. The age of human expansion had truly begun.